Today I'm checking out the GEEKOM IT15, a compact, high-performance mini PC. It's aimed at users who want desktop-class capability in a palm-sized form factor. The model I've been testing includes the Intel Core Ultra 9 285H, 32GB of DDR5 memory and a 2TB Gen 4 SSD. Let's have a look at it and find out if something this small can pack a big punch. Hi guys, I'm Matt and welcome to KitGuru. Let's start with the pricing then. The GEEKOM IT15 comes in two different configs. I've been testing the higher tier of the two, which features, as I mentioned, the Intel Core Ultra 9 285H, 32GB of DDR5 memory and a 2TB Crucial P3 Plus SSD. That's currently priced at £999. Then there's a lower spec version which halves the SSD capacity and drops the CPU to a Core Ultra 5 225H. That one costs £749. GEEKOM did let us know before the review though that this is going to be going on offer for Amazon Prime Day from the 8th of July, and they provided us with a 10% discount code if you want to pick one up. You'll find it in the video's description. And just a reminder, we don't get any kickback or affiliate commission or anything like that from that code. It's just there and been provided to us to pass on to you if you're interested in picking one up. Let's run through the full specs of the IT15 then. The CPU is the Intel Core Ultra 9 285H, as I mentioned. It's a top-end mobile chip with 16 cores and 16 threads. Those 16 cores are made up of 6 performance cores, 8 efficiency cores and 2 low power efficiency cores. The P cores are capable of boosting up to 5.4 GHz, while the E cores can manage 4.5 GHz, and then the lower power E cores should hit around 2.5 GHz while managing background tasks and stuff like that. The CPU also features integrated Intel Arc 140T graphics and a built-in NPU which is capable of 13 TOPS for AI workloads. As for power usage, the 285H on paper runs on a base power rating of 45 watts and a max turbo power rating of up to 115 watts. For memory, the model that I've been testing out comes with the maximum that GEEKOM provide it with, which is 32GB of DDR5 5600 mega transfers. The system is capable of housing up to 64GB if needed though, so you can double the memory capacity in an aftermarket upgrade, which would be useful for content creation or any memory heavy workloads that you might be doing on it. The modules in the unit are Crucial branded, and testing them with Ada revealed read speeds of 81,500 megabytes per second and write speeds of 78,040 megabytes per second. For storage, you're getting a 2TB Crucial P3 Plus NVMe Gen 4 SSD. It's rated for 5,000 megabytes per second read and 4,200 megabytes per second write on paper. So it's a mid-tier Gen 4 drive, but it's more than fast enough for general use and light creative work. Testing it with Crystal Disk Mark resulted in it slightly exceeding the specs on paper, hitting 5,033 megabytes per second read and 4,728 megabytes per second write. The SSD is sitting in the system's only M.2 2280 slot, but alongside that there is an additional M.2 2242 SATA 3 slot, which will support a secondary drive of up to 2 TB if you ever needed to add some storage later on down the line. That's nice to see, and it could be useful if you want to set this up as a really powerful NAS or something like that. Inside the case, everything is housed in and built around what I believe is a custom designed motherboard, which is how GEEKOM have managed to squeeze so much power into a chassis that's less than half a litre in volume. It's a clever layout and there's a surprising amount of space left inside an already tiny case for airflow. In terms of ports, the rear I/O includes 2 HDMI 2.0 outputs, a USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 port, 1 USB-A 2.0 port, a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port and 2 USB 4 Type-C ports, one of which supports 100 watt power delivery and both of which are capable of up to 40 gig per second data transfer and then display output, and connecting an external GPU if you want to do that and really improve the graphical capabilities of this machine. The combination of HDMI and USB 4 ports means that IT15 is capable of running up to 4 4K displays. So that, coupled with its physical size, this could make it great for running digital signage while tucked away behind a monitor or mounted using the Visa mounting holes on the bottom of the case and the mounting plate that's included in the box. On the front, you've got another two USB Type A 3.2 Gen 2 ports and a 3.5mm combo audio jack. There's no USB-C, which was a little disappointing and would have been nice to see at least one of those USB-A's, swap that out for a USB-C. On the left side there's an integrated SD card reader, and then over on the right side of the case there's a Kensington lock for securing the machine when you need to. For wireless connectivity, the IT15 supports Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4, and then power comes in via a 120 watt adapter, which is of course included in the box. Physically, the IT15 is a seriously compact computer. It measures just 117 by 112 by 45.5 millimeters. That's including the rubber feet on the bottom as well, which works out to just under 0.5 litres in volume, 0.46 litres to be exact. Here it is next to my PS5, a PS5 Slim. You can see just how tiny it is. Despite the size though, it feels really solid. The base and inner frame of the case are metal, and then the top is a mix of ABS and polycarbonate plastics. The overall build feels really premium. GEEKOM say that the chassis can withstand up to 200 kilograms of pressure, which is a crazy amount. That might sound excessive, what they're planning on driving over it in a lorry or something. I haven't stood on it to test it out, but I suppose it's nice to know that it can take a beating. The coating on the top of the case, the matte black top surface, that's a fingerprint magnet. So if you are regularly moving this sort of PC around and it's in eyesight, then you're going to want to keep a cloth nearby to wipe it down because it's going to look messy really fast. Cooling the CPU is handled by what GEEKOM call their Ice Blast 2.0 system, which uses dual copper heat pipes and draws air in from the side and pushes it out of the back. We'll take a listen to the fans a little later on in the video. The out of the box setup and my pre-testing sort of checks and stuff, all of the setup was as easy as it can be. The IT15 comes with a very clean install of Windows 11 Pro. I just had to run through the usual Windows setup and install all of the Windows updates, which is what I do on every system. Let's have a look at how it performs, then let's start with some light gaming and some productivity work. I kicked things off wanting to test Red Dead Redemption 2, as this is one of the titles that I tested when I reviewed the GEEKOM A7 Mini a year or two ago. This time around we're running it at 1080p using the game's built-in benchmark. With it set on medium settings, the system managed between 30 and 40 FPS. That's not amazing, but I suppose you could class that as playable, especially on a computer this small. Intel's XeSS scaling isn't available in this title, which would have helped pretty substantially, as we'll see in a moment. Counter-Strike 2 really shows what this chip and this system can do gaming wise when the demands aren't as extreme. At 1080p on high settings I was seeing frame rates consistently above 100 FPS and the game felt fluid and responsive. Now don't get me wrong, this system isn't something I'd use if I were even 1% serious about being competitive when playing a game like this, but it is more than playable and will do for some gaming in your downtime. And finally, I tested Marvel Rivals, and coming back to talk about Intel's XeSS that I mentioned a minute ago. At 1080p on ultra settings, I was only getting 20 to 30 FPS, which is pretty dismal, especially in a game like this where it's fast paced and you need to track enemies quickly. And interestingly, dropping the settings to medium didn't really see much improvement at all. But once I enabled XeSS and put it on the ultra quality preset, along with turning frame generation on, performance jumped to around 50 FPS during fights. Frame generation may add a bit of latency, or you may not like that sort of thing in fighting games, but it made it a much more playable experience. It was a noticeable improvement. It did come at a cost though. The visual quality isn't great, and I think Intel have got some catching up to do in terms of scaling to get to sort of AMD and Nvidia's levels. Outside of gaming, the IT15 handled productivity tasks really well. I tested some light 4K editing in Premiere Pro and I was actually quite impressed. With H.264 footage, adding a few transitions, stacking a few layers and adding some basic colour correction, the timeline playback stayed smooth. It was at half quality. I wasn't waiting around for things to catch up. It's not going to replace a full sort of desktop workstation setup anytime soon, but for things like travelling and taking a portable monitor with you, or using it for quick edits or backup projects, it's genuinely usable. It supports Intel's QuickSync as well for hardware-based encoding and decoding. Multitasking and just general day-to-day use, especially with the 32 gig of memory that I mentioned earlier, and that's the same capacity run on my main PC, was seamless. I had no trouble juggling Chrome tabs, Office docs, media playback. I like to listen to or watch video podcasts while I'm working, and it's handled that without breaking a sweat. The fans do spin up under load, but during general use and like lighter creative work, they kind of stay kind of subtle and kind of unobtrusive. Here's a few clips so you can hear what this thing sounds like in different scenarios. Let's move on to talk about power, heat, clock speeds and stuff while running it through some synthetic benchmarking then. Thermals are probably the one area where the IT15 starts to show the limits of its ultra-compact design, especially under sustained CPU-heavy workloads. Like usual, I ran it through a 30-minute Cinebench R23 multi-core benchmark, and that revealed a few of the usual issues we're used to seeing with Intel CPUs. During the initial phase of the test, the P-cores boost up to around 4 GHz, which gives the system a strong start, but after about 30 seconds, those clock speeds begin to drop down to 2.5 to 2.8 GHz, and that coincides with a noticeable drop in temperature, which is a sign of thermal throttling kicking in. And it's not aggressive, certainly not as aggressive as I've seen on some laptops that I've looked at in the past. The system stayed stable and responsive, but it does suggest that the cooling can't handle how powerful the Intel CPU is. The CPU package temperature peaked at 104 degrees when running the multi-core benchmark and averaged out at around 83 degrees for the remainder of the run. CPU power draw peaked at 61 watts at the start and then settled back to an average of 33 watts, showing again that the CPU is scaling back, or the system as a whole is scaling back its power usage to handle the temperatures. I also ran it through a 30-minute single-core Cinebench R23 test, and the results were marginally worse, if not following a similar pattern. The CPU temperature peaked at 107 degrees, and it averaged 99 degrees throughout the run. Power usage peaked at 31 watts and then sustained an average of 21 watts, and the clock speeds initially hit 5 to 5.1 GHz before settling to around 4.9 GHz once the system started getting a bit toasty. At idle, the ambient room temperature was 25 degrees Celsius, and the CPU temps fluctuated a bit but averaged out at around 45 degrees. So these temperatures are a bit concerning. Reaching triple digits is always a bit, wow, chill out, literally. In typical real world use like browsing, streaming, productivity, that sort of thing, it remains cool and quiet, but during sustained load the temperatures are undeniably high. While some of it can be blamed on the tiny form factor, it ultimately highlights, I think, a wider issue with Intel's current CPU sort of process, architecture, whatever you want to call it. It's something that they really need to address, because even with the power scaling, these chips are still running uncomfortably hot in compact systems like the IT15 and like many laptops that I've looked at. To wrap things up then, this is a tiny, robust and powerful little machine that will handle work in general use without breaking a sweat at all, but it's held back by the Intel CPU's heat issues that we just looked at, and that's only made worse by the tiny form factor. Gaming wise, it'll do for some light gaming, but it's way off of replacing a dedicated gaming rig. But that being said, it's not been designed to do that. It was never going to do that. If you want a small and discreet machine that'll tuck behind a monitor, then it's a pretty powerful little box to stick in that sort of scenario. I suppose it just depends on how much you value the form factor and having that level of performance hidden away on your desk. I feel it's a very niche product. For the same money, you can get a dedicated pre-built gaming PC if gaming is the thing you're looking at doing. But then on the flip side, if you picked up a laptop as powerful as this machine, it would be way more expensive, mainly because of the screen, which obviously isn't included on a mini PC. So it makes mini PCs like this and on all the others, especially at this price point though, they sit in a strange sort of area in between. You want it to do work, you want it to game, you want it to be portable. It kind of does all of them a little bit, but not as good as machines that are dedicated to that purpose. I suppose it really depends on what you value most and if you need a machine that packs this much power into the tiny form factor. If you do, then this may be worth a look, especially if it gets some further price drops. And that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a like down below if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to KitGuru to keep up with the latest PC gaming news and reviews. And if you go down below the video, you'll find links to our merch store. And then in the video's description, you'll find links to our Discord server, our Patreon page, and our website if you want to check any of that out. Anyway, guys, I've been Matt. This has been the IT15 Mini PC from GEEKOM. I'll speak to you in the next one. Look after yourselves. See you later.